What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., and everything you need to know about on a daily basis. Money, investing, the stock market, forced stimulus package update, stimulus check update, and everything you need to know about. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button right now down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will keep you up to date here. And also, thanks so much for hitting the like button for us down below. You guys are absolutely awesome. We got a lot to talk about here today. First, we'll go to President Biden. Here's what he has to say today. Check this out.
Mr. President, how high is the threat of a Russian invasion right now?
It's very high.
Why?
It's very high because they have not moved any of their troops out. They've moved more troops in. Number one. Number two, we have reason to believe that they are engaged in a false flag operation to have an excuse to go in. Every indication we have is they're prepared to go into Ukraine, attack Ukraine. Number one. Number two, I've been waiting for a response from Putin for my letter, my response to him. It's come to that Moscow embassy. They're faxing it here. Not faxing it, they're sending it here. I have not read it yet. I cannot comment on it.
Have you been briefed on it in any way?
Oh,
yes. Is your sense that this is going to happen now?
Yes. My sense this will happen within the next several days.
What are the things that is there any diplomatic path still available?
Yes, there is. There's a clear diplomatic path. That's why I asked Secretary Blinken to go to the United Nations and make his statement today. He'll lay out what that path is. I've laid out a path to Putin as well on, I think, Sunday. And so there is a path. There is a way through this.
Are you going to call Putin? Are you going to call Putin?
I'm not calling Putin. I have no plans to call Putin right now.
Multiple other countries as well think that Russia is going to invade. They have Ukraine surrounded on 3 different sides with now over 150,000 troops. You can see here, Russia, quote, likely to launch a limited military attack, according to Estonian intelligence. So multiple other different countries also think that Russia is going to, again, if you just kind of look at things realistically, why else would they have 150,000 troops, just increase from 100,000 troops surrounding Ukraine? I don't think they're going to play chess or checkers. But I mean, if you think differently, you let me know your thoughts in the comments. What else you think they might be doing? Yeah. Meanwhile, Americans are already being affected here. The Dow Jones Stock Index had its worst day of the year because of the Russian conflict. The Dow Jones Index dropped more than 600 points here today, the worst decline of the year so far. Yeah, you can see here significant drop today. The S&P 500 down over 2%, 2.12% here today. Yeah. The NASDAQ down almost 3% here today. And also we have seen the price of oil and the price of gas also increase. It's currently at around $91.6 dollars per barrel of oil. It was as high as $95 a barrel of oil, and that directly influences the price of gas. And experts say that if we see them actually invade Ukraine, it could spike up significantly more to potentially somewhere near $100 to $120 a barrel of oil. That could be a 20% increase in gas. We could see well above what we're seeing now. But I just want to mention here, because, you know, about 50% of people do invest in the stock market through 401ks, through pensions, or just regular money here, just investing in the market here. These type of dips, even in war situations like this, we see dips like this all the time. So this is a 5-day chart of the Dow. In fact, we'll look at the S&P 500 here. It's still relatively about the same here. Here's a 1-month chart. We'll look at a 1-year chart. Okay, 1-year chart, the S&P 500 last year had a 27% gain. Okay, so even with that 27% gain, when you look at this dip here that we've had over the last month or so, it's still green. Doesn't really look that bad, right? When we look at a 5-year chart, okay, 5 years ago, the S&P 500 was at 2,300. Now it's at 4,300, almost double. So 5 years ago, if you invested, I don't know, $10,000, now it's almost 20,000. Or if you had $100,000 in your retirement fund, now it's almost $200,000. So just keep that in mind. That's in only 5 years. That's in only 5 years. Okay. So you got to remember that little dips like this happen all the time, all the time. And the dips are typically the best time to invest. In fact, if you invested during the dip of the pandemic, it was the best time to invest. Of course, everybody thought the world was going to end, and literally the whole country was closing. That was a scary time for everybody, right? Because we have never ever seen the country literally close down like we did in March of 2020. It was scary for me as well, and I had been investing for how long had I been investing for? I don't know, 10 or 15 years at that point. Remember, I'm going to be turning 41 here in 6 days and on February 23rd. But I've been investing for a while, and even for me, that was a shock. I actually pulled the majority of my money out because I said, "Oh my God, the country's closing down." But look at how fast it rebounded. It literally rebounded the majority of it, or a lot of it, by April. So the problem is trying to time the market is nearly impossible. It's nearly impossible. If you pulled your money out, it rebounded so fast. I did okay because I was able to get back in at a slightly lower position, but not nearly what I thought I would because it rebounded so quickly. The problem I had here is that I thought, well, how could it be rebounding when the country's closed down? But the problem for an investor is that they pumped stimulus money in. They started pumping stimulus money in, which was great for the country, great for everybody here. They started putting out stimulus checks, unemployment money, paycheck protection program money, money for small businesses. The government has kind of shown now that when anything terrible happens, they will step in. Okay. So that's the problem with trying to time the market now. And I kind of learned a lesson then. It's not really worth pulling your money out, especially if you're invested in something like an S&P 500 index where you just kind of, you don't own a single stock. You own, of course, there's kind of strategies here for anything. Owning single stocks is good. Owning S&P 500 index is good. Really just depends on what you want to do, if you see something good you like or whatever. But time in the market, length of time, is better than timing the market, because you can't really time the market. It's tough. Unless you're in an individual stock and you think that the one specific stock, like maybe a Tesla or something like that, is going to do something specific, and you think, ooh, that one particular company is going to do something specific. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at what the chart does, here's the Dow Jones Index. This is the max chart it'll show going back to 1992. It was at 3,300 back then. Now it's at 34,000. So that's a 10x. So that's 10 times your money. So if you put $10,000 back in there, say your retirement account was 10,000 back there in your 401k, now it's worth 10 times that amount. So now it's 100,000. Or if you had 100,000 in your retirement account back then, now it's worth $1 million. Okay, and that's why they say if you're working at a job right now and there's a company 401k match, you gotta be investing in that. You gotta be putting money in that. If you're not taking advantage of your 401k match, you're missing out on free money. And every paycheck, you got to be putting a little bit of money in there, and over time you see how it's going to grow. Don't worry about the little dips here. There's going to be little dips along the way, but when you're putting money in every single paycheck over time, look at how this grows. It might be hard to see on a long chart like this, but remember back in 1992 this was at 3,200. And now it's at 34,000, the Dow Jones Index. This is over, Dow Jones Index is just it's a bunch of different companies, okay? The S&P 500 is the top 500 companies. If you're in a 401k and you're not taking advantage of that company match, it's literally free money that they want to give you to invest in your retirement fund. You definitely need to be taking advantage of that and investing in your future. A lot of people don't do that and they're missing out on free money. So you got to be investing in your future, because the problem a lot of people don't do is they go to work for 30 years and they don't put a little bit at a time into their retirement fund, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and they won't notice it if they don't just put a little bit in there. But if they don't put into their 401k or their retirement fund a little bit at a time and get that company match, which is free money that the company will give you if you work at a company that offers that, which is really great if you do, that money will grow over time. And as you can see here, it will grow a lot over time. If you got something like a S&P 500 index, that's a really great, or like a Vanguard Total Stock Index where it's invested into a whole bunch of different stocks. That's a great thing because you don't need to worry about it. It's just invested in all sorts of different companies. You just set it and forget it and just keep investing a little bit. Make sure you get the full company match. Invest enough to get the full company match that they're giving you. You just put that money in there and let it grow. You let it grow over time, and you've seen what it does. Don't worry about the dips. Times like this with Russia, or 2 months ago when it was dipping, or 6 months ago when it was dipping, and you're buying a little bit during those times. Those are the best times to buy because you're buying low. You want to buy low because if the stock drops to, and I'll just make up a number here, the stock drops to 100. Well, a year later, when it goes up to 120 or 150, you bought low. You want to buy low. And years later, when you sell it to buy a house or buy a car or retire, and it's at 200 or 300 or 400, buy low, sell high. That's how people get wealthy over time. The problem is if you don't invest any money in the market for years and years and years, your money doesn't grow. And if your money doesn't grow, inflation is making your money worth less over time. And that's where inflation kind of eats you up. And that's where, the saying, the rich get rich, and poor get poor. This is where credit cards will actually do the reverse to you. What credit cards do is they charge you interest. They'll charge you 10 or 20% interest. Okay. So that's doing the reverse on you. So 10 or 20% interest is you're losing 10 or 20% of your money every year. Now remember, the S&P 500, which is just the top 500 companies in the United States based on their wealth, their size, gained 27% last year. So instead of your money growing by 27% last year, if you owe a bunch of money on credit card debt, you lost 10 or 20% last year. And that's kind of where the saying that the rich get rich and the poor get poor. Now, of course, if you're in credit card debts, the first thing you should do is not invest in the stock market. You should pay off your credit card debt. That's the first thing you do. Don't even invest any money in the stock market. Just start paying off your credit card debt. There's two different things you could do there. Is number one, you could pay off your smaller balances and then just cut up those credit cards. You don't necessarily close the account because the longer if it has an annual fee, you might want to. But if you keep the account open, then you still kind of keep that credit score. But you gotta be careful not to charge it up again. If you don't have the willpower, either just cut it up and don't use the card again, or you gotta have the willpower there. Or you can pay off the highest interest. Okay, you can look at the interest amount, but a lot of people like to take the win and pay off the lowest amount that's owed. So if you have a credit card with, say, a couple $100s, you can just pay off that one regardless of what the interest rate is. Because, say, even if your interest rate is 10%, okay, but you owe, say, $500, and if you chip away at that and pay that off, and now you don't have that credit card at all, you don't owe it at all, you don't have that monthly payment, then you can take that payment and then apply it to your next credit card as well. And you can make double payments on the next credit card. And now you have that feeling, I don't owe on that credit card at all. I did awesome, paid that credit card off. And then you have double payments on your second credit card. And you can pay that one off twice as fast. Even though the interest rate was maybe a couple percentage points lower, it really doesn't make a big deal in the scheme of things. As opposed to, say, maybe you have a high balance credit card with several $1,000s. The problem with that is that it might take you a long time to pay off. It might take you a couple years to pay off or something like that, right? It might be better for you to just take the quick wins and pay off the low balance ones, pay them off, and say, yeah, you did it. You get that victory, and then you also can then take that monthly payment and pay off the other credit cards twice as fast, per se. So you kind of get that snowball effect. It's called the debt snowball method. So yeah, there's a couple different ways there, but that's how credit card companies make billions and billions and billions of dollars, okay? Because they're getting 10, 20, 25, even 29.99% interest on people, okay? And the wealthy, or not necessarily the wealthy, but the people that do things the smart way. They invest in their 401ks, they invest in their IRAs, they invest in their retirement accounts, and then thereby become wealthy, right? People that go to work at everyday jobs, but invest in their 401ks, invest in their retirement accounts from the beginning, or not even from the beginning, but somewhere along the way, somebody said, you know what? You need to invest in your IRAs. You need to invest in your 401ks. You need to invest in your retirement accounts. And someone said, you know what? I better do that. And then they started to listen to somebody who told them along the way, and then they got that 401k match. Even if you don't get a 401k match, you still got to do it, right? And then they started investing a little bit, $100 a month, couple $100 a month, right? And then that money started to grow and grow, and then it was a couple $1,000s, and then a couple $1,000s a year, and all of a sudden it started to become $10,000, and then it started to grow and grow, and then the stock market doubled it, and then it was 20,000, and it really starts to grow. Time in the market, not timing the market. And before you know it, as the years roll by, you're putting money in every month, and then the stock market keeps gradually going up. Remember, the stock market goes like this, up, down, but when you look at those charts, they're slowly going up, right? Remember the S&P 500, even though it was like this, last year went up 27%. Now, not every year is 27%. That was a really good year last year. Even though it was under Biden. I know everybody's like, oh, Biden, right? But last year was a really good year for the stock market, right? And this year, who knows what it'll be? It might be 5%, it might be 0%, it might be 20%, it might be negative 2%. Who knows what it's going to be? If it is negative 5%, that's a good time to buy, right? Okay, as long as you don't panic sell and sell at a loss, it's actually a good time to buy. So this is kind of just an interesting video that we got into of how your money grows and how your money works against you. If you stay in credit card debt your whole life, what happens is when you go buy $100 worth of groceries and you pay interest on that over and over and over on your credit card, that $100 worth of groceries actually ends up costing you $200. So talk about inflation. Credit card inflation will actually hurt you more than inflation, because if you don't pay cash for your groceries, or what I do is I buy everything on a credit card, but I pay it off every month. My credit cards are just set to auto pay in full. Okay, so I actually get rewards on my credit cards. All my credit cards are rewards credit cards, and they actually pay me back rewards. I have one credit card that's an American Express that pays me 6% cash back on groceries, and I have another credit card that's a 2% cash back on everything. So just anything I buy is 2% cash back, and I just get rewards on anything. So anything I buy, the credit card companies are actually paying me, okay? And I don't carry a balance. I've just paid in full every month. So if you paid in full every month, there's no interest. There's no interest. So if anything, the credit card companies pay me. Yeah, so that's what you can do when you start to carry no balance, no credit card balance. And that's kind of another thing, the old saying, the rich get rich, the poor get poor. Eventually, when you pay off all your credit card debt, the credit card companies will actually pay you to use their credit cards. They'll pay you in cash back. So whenever you see those cash back credit cards commercials, they'll actually pay you to go grocery shopping or to buy anything, to buy gas. There's some credit cards that will pay you 5% cash back. So imagine every time you go to get $100 in gas, they give you $5. You can't make this stuff up, but it's true. The reason is because these credit card companies make billions and billions of dollars, and most people don't do that. So they really don't care. It's a numbers game to them, right? Most people carry a balance and don't do things the right way. They really don't care about the few percentage of people that game the system. It's not really gaming the system because they're the ones making the rules, right? So they happily pay the rewards. Okay, they know that the majority of people are going to take the rewards but still carry a balance, right? So if you do things the kind of way I'm telling you, you'll kind of get out of the rat race quicker, right? So it's kind of, if you read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, it's a book I highly recommend. It's a book I kind of read every year or two whenever I get a chance. It's a book I read a long time ago when I wanted to get out of the rat race. I definitely recommend it. You can get it on Amazon for probably $10 or something like that, or at your local bookstore or something like that. But it talks about philosophies like this, and it's definitely a pretty cool book. Because again, if nobody ever talks about this stuff with you, if nobody ever teaches this stuff with you, it's never too late. Even if you're 70 years old, you could still have another 20, 30 years, right? I mean, people literally live to 100 nowadays. And again, it's still kind of the same philosophy. Carrying a credit card debt costs you money, where if you don't carry credit card debt, you're not paying the credit card company, you're paying yourself, right? So just kind of interesting video we got into today. Let me know your thoughts here. These are things I learned along the way. I mean, my dad worked at a grocery store for 40 years. My mom was a bill collector. They both worked 9 to 5 jobs, literally their whole lives. I grew up in a lower middle class home. Again, my dad actually not only worked at a grocery store for 40 years, he actually worked 2 and 3 jobs. He worked at a grocery store. He also did landscaping part-time, and he delivered pizzas part-time. So, and I actually started working when I was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. I actually worked at a part-time grocery store called Giant Eagle. I worked at an amusement park called Jogga Lake. I worked at so many different jobs, and I had to learn this stuff. I actually learned a lot of this stuff from Laurel's dad, Mike, who's an accountant. I learned a lot of this stuff on my own. And I learned that I didn't want to work in the rat race my whole life. So I just kind of became an entrepreneur. And it's just a kind of little bit of knowledge here from me to you here today. So let me know your thoughts. Some interesting kind of knowledge from me. Let me know what you think here. So I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country. Make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new videos. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.